Good morning. Midas Monday, baby. You guys ready to rock? I am certainly ready to go. You are looking at an NQ futures contract chart. This is the 5-minute chart. This is obviously the December NQ contract for the Nasdaq, of course. We're trading Nasdaq futures with Apex and Take Profit Trader here today. You're looking at Ninja Trader. I'm using the Affordable Indicators Copy Trader. I'm plugging in Apex via Rhythmic. I'm plugging in Take Profit via Tradeovate. So there we go. All out of the way on a Monday. Let's get into it here. We are 4 minutes, 15 seconds out from the close of this 5-minute bar. Good morning, guys. How we doing? Javaz, Brandon, good to see you. Derek. John, good morning, brother. How we doing? All right. A lot of back and forth here today, by the way. A lot of mixed bars. Not a whole lot of, we'll say, continuation style setups here today. So what I'm thinking is range in the obvious area. You could draw like this. I'd probably draw it kind of like this and move that down a little bit. I see a wedge. Maybe a descending channel. What I'm really interested in is this region up top here. Down here is a little frothy, a little soft, right? There's a lot of areas that you could potentially get some support, or, you know, you could give out a little further than expected. It makes it hard to scalp, makes it hard to buy low, sell high, because you end up having to risk a lot to get, you know, back into the channel, maybe 35 points as a channel width. So you're looking for maybe half that. You're looking for maybe 15, 20 points. You end up having to risk, realistically, at least 30, maybe 35, because it's so frothy. So what I'm looking for, ideally, is a curl back with a small bull body to get long, or a short up here at the top of the wedge. Make sense? So right now I'm looking for range until we see some kind of continuation that we can trade. So let's get rid of this. We know that that's there. Second nature at this point. You guys are likely seeing the same thing. If you spent any amount of time trading any kind of similar way, probably looking at the exact same thing. Devout, good morning. How we doing? Kevin, Giovanni, Joe, good morning. Steven, Christian, what's up, everybody? How we doing? All right, 2 minutes out. See how this bar closes up. Ideally, I'd like to see it give way to the downside, just so we can not confuse everybody with a bull bar. All right, 65 seconds. Okay. All right, now I gotta say, you know, there's a risk of this moving up with this last wick bottom. But if we get a bit, hang on here, let's look at this. We're running out of time, so. Okay, 17 seconds out. Gonna get the copy trader engaged. Now again, with this wick low being a little high, there's a risk of this moving upside, that little flat bottom in this big frothy down region, but I'm still more interested in getting short than anything, using this wick to manage risk. Let's see if we get a little push on this rollover. Give this 10 more seconds here. See if we can get something half reasonable going. I want to get a little bit of a higher entry for a short. And I can make sense of that. Yeah, I don't like it. Pass. Next bar. I don't like it. We're getting a little low here to manage risk reasonably with the distance to potential reward. So let that go. Take one more bar, C. All right, 3 minutes out. How we doing so far? A lot of back and forth. Bull, bear, bull, bear, bull, bear. Either you're trading the range and doing pretty well, depending on how much you're risking. If you're risking enough, you're probably doing pretty well. Or you've been trying to take every breakout and you're getting blown up. How we doing? You don't have to share if you don't want to. It's no one's business but your own. But if you care to, let's hear it. Devout! Hang in there, big dog. All right, 2 minutes, 20 seconds out. John, trading the range up 74 points. John. Oh, John, you are up about 64, 65% of the intraday range thus far. You can average 25% in points of the day's range on the average day. Average over the long term, you're in the top 1% of traders. That's 25%. 64, 65% is tremendous. All right, minute 13 out. Here we go. Bull's trying to put together a little push. Still got to think range. For me, it would take 3 bull bodies to get long. And while this one bull body closing outside is a reasonable bet, considering it would be the first one all day, thus far, it's shrinking, which doesn't give me a whole lot of confidence to jump on those bulls, considering they don't even know whether they can do it or not. So we'll let this roll over, close as a small shrinking bear body, shrinking just a little bit. I'm sorry, bull body shrinking just a little bit compared to the previous bull body. And we'll give it this next bar. If they can close this as a reasonable, equal size, or growing bull body, then I put out a stop limit buy above it on the close and see if we can get a fill alongside. And of course, if that does not occur and we see a bear body, then all of a sudden I'm trying to get short depending on how the bear body looks. Because that would tell me that, hey, I think the bulls are probably going to give way to this little range coming back into play. So, let's see how this bar closes up. If it gives us something definitive, we'll break the ice. All right, bulls. Let's see what you got. 2 minutes, 40 seconds out. Can they give us a nice, clean bull body close? Ideally, a slightly growing bull body compared to the previous bar. And if they can, we've got one hell of a setup that we have to take. Taz, good morning. How we doing? Two minutes. All right, bulls. Gonna need to see a little more than that. You got 90 seconds to clean this up. I like that. There we go. All right, 30 seconds out. Gonna need to engage our copy trader. ATR sitting at 25 here on the 5-minute NQ chart. And these bulls need to show me a little bit more confidence here in the next 15 seconds. Come on, bulls. Take that baby higher, close it nice and high. Not looking tremendous. I'll get that out and ready just in case. Oof. Bull's not a good look. Insecure as all hell. So we will go ahead and pass on that body. And we'll go next bar. 4 minutes out. Okay, same idea, by the way, applies here on this 5-minute bar. While it's not quite as good, I would say it downgrades it by, what would you call it? Like if it goes from a A setup down to an A minus, or from an A minus down to a B plus. What I mean by that is you get 3 consecutive clean and they're all growing. That might be an A or A plus, depending how clean the closes are. Had this one done that, I would call that probably at least an A minus, if not an A setup, maybe an A minus, since we still have this wick up top with not many stops, and there's really nothing to stop on. If we get this little doji, and now this bull body closes above this wick high strong, but within reason, I'd say it downgrades it to maybe B plus, but I'd still have to put it on. For me. 2 minutes here. Let's see if the bulls can get this done. Again, need to see a strong close at least, bare minimum, above that previous bar's wick high. All right, bulls. Let's get this thing done. Minute 10 out. There we go. Keep that moving. Okay, we're 25 seconds out. I'm gonna get the copy trader engaged just in case. Just in case. We have a bull and a bear case, depending on if we get a last second adjustment in either direction. This is this kind of scenario where you gotta be quick. I'm gonna get that ready. Not likely to get it. Nope, there's the rollover inside bar. Nothing. Next bar, 455 out. Okay, now 4 minutes out, we have a couple options here. We do have a setup, whether we get a bull or a bear body. However, for me, after those last two candles, our quicker route to a setup is if we just put in a pretty strong bear body. With a bull body, I would ideally like to see two consecutive. Now that we've had two small bars, a doji essentially, and then a tiny, tiny bear body. With that insecurity out of the bulls, I want to see two consecutive. Otherwise, I keep thinking, I think the bears aren't really letting up on this range quite yet. Alright, bears, now, if we can get a bear closed like here, I mean, guess what? I have to get short. However, then there's this risk. There's always a risk to the other side. You can look at a chart within your bias and say, oh, there's really no argument at all for the other side. There's always an argument. If there wasn't an argument, the entire market would poof, implode, cease to exist. There has to be both sides. That's why the probabilities are always between 30 and 70. And 90, 95% of the time, they're between 40 and 60, no matter what you do. So you find your edge within those little probabilities. Now, how do you find out what they are? We live in a fog. We have to, do our best to make our best estimate over and over and over again, of course. There's nothing that tells you what they are at any given time. If there was, the edge would cease to exist because everyone would know and you wouldn't do the opposite. So we're 60 seconds out. This market is very indecisive right here. Cannot figure out what the hell to do. So how am I supposed to? We need to see, well, either a last second adjustment on this bar, or if we get a bull body, we'll need one more. $30 seconds. All right, here comes a rollover, a new 5-minute bar. Nothing. pop around here. We're currently looking at the 5 minute. Let's look at a 1 minute chart. And you know the 1 minute's actually not awful today. ATR on it is 8. 2 minute chart, ATR 13. You know, I'd say in the last 30 minutes, the 1 minute's actually a little cleaner than the 2. Back on a 5 here. What do you use for your analysis? I don't understand the question. What you're looking at is Ninja Trader. And around here we trade RAM. At least I do. Alright, 3 minutes, 15 seconds out. What does RAM stand for? RAM is the wrench action method. All right now, Bears, Bulls, somebody. We're halfway through this 5 minute bar. Let's see if somebody can get a little confidence here. All right, minute 55 out. And we are still sitting as basically a doji. How much did you made in total? How much did you made with trading in total, broski? What are you, my fucking accountant? Weirdo, get out of here. All right, we're 35 seconds out. And this is incredibly indecisive from both sides. All right, roll over here, new 5 minute bar. Doji. Don't trade this stuff. I know a lot of people look at this and they're like, oh, it's slow, so it's safe. I can trade now with little risk. Well, I would argue the risk, maybe the point risk isn't quite as high unless you see some kind of breakout. But the actual risk is much higher. Because this is algo and degenerate territory. It's much more difficult to find edge right here. Which of course is why we haven't broken the ice yet. But things are moving, even if they're moving a little quicker, a little more volatile, but they're smooth. The market has some kind of definitive structure to it that isn't just this. It's easier to find edge. The market's a little less efficient, which means it's a little easier to find the edge. Or at least, have one over a bigger sample size. 4 minutes out. Forgotten Trader recently started watching. Not offensive at all, it's a compliment. Your method is simple, your discipline is not amazing to watch. That is a great compliment. The method needs to be simple. That's not a dig. That's not a dig. If the method is incredibly complicated, nobody gives a shit, and it doesn't have that self-fulfilling prophecy impact, and it doesn't work. If the method is overly complicated, it probably is much more difficult to sustain, not only long-term, but mid-term, with any kind of definitive statistical edge, even small. The method has to be simple. That's a tremendous compliment, which makes it easier, I would say, to learn, easier to wrap your head around, though it's not going to take one hour. I mean, it could take 1 hour. It's probably not going to take an hour to wrap your head around it, but eventually, the longer you watch, I know so many of you already are like, yes, I pretty well understand RAM. Now it's just a matter of getting the discretionary decision-making down, the little nuance of it, and then fixing my fucking head. That's where it gets a little more difficult. It's got to be simple, though. If it's not, you're overcomplicating. Like, you know how I always say, don't overthink where you draw the levels? If you overthink it, by the time you finish drawing the level, no one cares. No one's looking at that. If I was going to look at this and say, okay, what do I think is probably going on right now? I'd say, well, either this, or if you want to zoom in a little more, something like this. Like a wedge, right? Notice how I just sloppily draw it? Because who gives a shit? There's a giant sample size. We know what we're looking at within reason. It's not an exact level. It's a range. And then you just trade RAM, price action, with the context of range or trend. And if it is a range, kind of where are you looking as far as the range? All right, new 5-minute bar. This is garbage. This is garbage. These last 25 minutes are trash. There's nothing here for me. So right now, I'll speak for myself, probably also a lot of you guys, if you're trading any similar kind of way. For me, my job, doing my job, is ignoring this stuff and waiting for something to present itself that provides me with better than either equal or slightly negative, I'd say break even, or slightly negative expected value. I could sit here and take a bunch of garbage dog shit trades to entertain you guys. And you know, a lot of you wouldn't know the difference, is the truth. Some of you would be like, what the fuck are you doing? But a lot of you who are maybe a little newer, you'd be like, oh, this guy trades a lot, he must be good. Nope. I would be garbage if I was sitting here trading this. Come on now. Doesn't mean we won't take a lot of trades when they present themselves, but they come in waves. Sometimes you sit like this, and sometimes it's non-stop from the time the market opens till it closes. We've seen both. All right, 2 minutes out. Couple of, you gotta be careful because this is now forming a range in the last 30 minutes, a tight range. 20 points, 15, 20 points wide. But a couple of clean consecutive bull or bear bodies. Honestly, I think I'd prefer bear bodies. But I would take either. And we're right back in the game. Breaking the ice. Minute 20 out. Joe! Been eyeballing the 3-minute chart? Yeah, slightly higher quality than 2, but a bit faster than the 5. Nothing wrong with the 3, man. A lot of people trade the 3. I know people are like, the 3? I've never heard of that. You will. There's nothing wrong with any time frame. Pick the one that gives you a good balance between quantity and quality. Though, the one nuance there is that the more watched it is, the more self-fulfilling prophecy kind of deal you get. And you're looking at the same information as more people, which is slightly helpful in some cases. But this is a 3-minute chart. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a 3-minute chart. I know a few guys who the 3-minute is kind of like their main. That's their bread and butter. Do whatever you want. There's no right chart to trade off of. A huge misconception. It really doesn't matter. The only thing that makes a difference is that self-fulfilling prophecy effect of like a 5-minute chart. Or maybe an hourly or a daily, right? Has a lot of eyeballs. But no matter what time frame you're looking at, whether it's time-based charts or tick-based charts, it's the same information, just displayed differently. Really doesn't matter. Just, hey, what gives you the best balance of quality of setups and quantity of setups? Because you need a decent sample size of trades for the numbers to play out. Another big misconception. People think, you know, taking 3 trades a day is over trading. You're fucking crazy if you think that. Crazy. I get it. Staying in the game is very important, which is why I think, you know, for newer people, a lot of times they're told, hey, take 1 trade a day. Sure, stops you from losing too much too fast, keeps you in the game. But eventually, you gotta understand, the real game here is the business model. This is no different than a casino's business model. Not as the player, as the establishment. Procure a little bit of edge. They have it built right into the fucking games. And then what is the casino's job? Every single day, week, month, year. What's their job? Does anybody know? What's a casino's #1 concern? Anyone have any idea? Boom, you're in charge of Caesar's Palace as of today. What is your job? Make money. Come on, guys. Scott, running the game as much as possible. Damn straight. Gains. Keep coming back. Keep them playing. Some of you guys jump right to money. That's your problem. You're saying, hey, what's your job as a trader? Make money? Yeah, no shit. Come on. What's your actual job? Procure the edge. In a casino, it's done for you. It's built into the games. Keep an eye on people who are trying to flip that edge. Cheaters, right? Card counting card counting's a lot harder than it used to be. From what I understand. And then your job is to get as many human beings in the door as possible. Realistically, get as many people addicted as possible. And keep them playing as long as possible. You ever notice they deal really fast in a casino? You think that's on some kind of accident? You think they're putting in that much effort? What, for fun? To make sure you're having a good time? Kinda. They're dealing fast because sample size is their entire business. The more hands get played, the more times someone hits spin on the slot machine, the more money they make. So your entire job, if you run a casino, is not make money. I mean, yeah, kinda. But your entire job is how do we get as many people in the door as possible? Having as much fun as possible, staying as long as possible, and betting as much per hand as possible. Obviously within the limits of the table, which is how the casino mitigates risk of any one outlier, right? People don't get this. It's fucking crazy. How do you not understand the business? If you don't understand the business model of a casino, it's so simple. Once you get it, you're like, oh shit, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's how they make so much money. Yep. That's what we're doing. On a different scale, of course. And it's a little different because our edge is not set in stone. We have to like work at it every day, which is why discretionary decision making is so important. But that's what you're doing. It's the same business model. It's not different at all. All right, 57 seconds out. Let's see. Can the bulls get anything done? This is where you got to be careful getting long, because that channel is going to tempt people. All right, 15 seconds out. New 5-minute bar here. Let's see what we get. Little doji on that last bar. It's all right. We can work with it. We can work with it depending on how this next bar closes up. ATR here on the 5-minute chart, 18.5. It's not too bad. We can work with that. All right, update in the chat. How we doing? Those of you guys who would like to share how we trading today. This is a safe space. I don't care if you're up 200 points. People here don't get envious, they support. Or if you're down 150 points, no one's gonna kick you. Promise you that. And if they do, they're the fuck out of here. Bit of a mixed bag, but it looks like a lot of you guys are actually trading pretty well today. Good work. All right, 2 minutes out. Now, if we get a strong bull close, the bar is small enough where we can, well, I can take a stab and be totally cool with the outcome. But I would need this bull body to close reasonably above that previous bar's wick high. Because this range, you know, you got to think, is probably quite the magnet. So I would need to see some level of confidence here out of the bulls to put that on. Bull body, but inside close, doji, and then bull body outside close. I would call that maybe a B plus setup. It's not great, but for me, I know that setup, and I know it's worth putting on over a big sample size. So, let's see if we get a reasonable close. 60 seconds. By the way, guys, if you're looking for daily payouts, Take Profit Trader is going to be your best bet. I say this all the time, but you got to think about this strategically. I do think that if you're trying to bootstrap going full-time as a trader, you need money often in the account, right? So daily payouts are very helpful. Take Profit Trader is my favorite for that setup. 40% off, and you will not pay an activation fee when you pass with code BIG, B-I-G. All right, bulls. Eight seconds out here. I got to get the copy trader ready and get a stop limit buy out. Last second adjustment. No. Big ol' insecure bulls. Next bar. 4 minutes out. Let's see what we get. This may be the one. Let's see. This may be the icebreaker here. All right, bulls. All right, bulls. Hold that there. Hold that there. Don't grow too much. We've got 3.5 minutes. 3.5 minutes. Let's see how this baby closes up. That is a beauty of a push. Good to see here. ATR here on the 5-minute chart, 19. If you guys haven't yet, hit like on the stream. We'll be breaking the ice here shortly. I can feel it. 2 minutes, 45 seconds out. And by the way, hitting like is not an unappreciated act. Because you hit the goal, we give away free accounts. I think that's a reasonable deal, huh? All right, bulls, hold that up, baby. Don't grow too much more than that. I like how that's looking thus far. Two minutes. You keep that right there, bulls. Keep that right there. If this closed like right here, a little higher, I gotta tell you, that's the best setup of the day for me. Comma, regardless of outcome. Asterisk next to that. Very important to understand that. This isn't about, did I make money on this trade? You think that way, you're gonna lose. I'm sorry. I get it. I get it. You're like, well, I need to make money. Market doesn't give a fuck. Market doesn't care. I don't really care. You follow the process with an edge and you maintain it and you stay disciplined and you will eventually over a time period. Doesn't have to be a long time period, by the way. I'm not saying this has to take 6 years. No, we need money now. But I'm trying to save you time because I went through the trenches. I came out bloody, half alive. Like, is this even possible? Yep. Don't do it. You can just go around the forest. You don't have to go straight through. I did, because that's my personality type. And I'm telling you, stay disciplined. Keep some sort of track of your data. And it's worth it. All right. Ready? 28 seconds out. Gonna go ahead and get the copy trader engaged. And let's see. Let's see. Can the bulls give us a nice, reasonable, clean bull body close here in the next 10 seconds? Gonna get a stop limit buy ready. And see if we can place that guy right above this close. Boom! Oh, no! Error. Let's see if we get a pullback in the next 10 seconds. If we do, I'll punch it with a limit. 5 seconds. Come on, pull on back. Oh, not enough. Damn, no trade. It's all right. That's all right. Now what happened there, you might be wondering, what's an error? What happens is when you put out a limit, a stop limit buy or a stop limit sell, and it closes and punches through. You guys have seen this happen before. You're trying to put it out when the price is already through. That was the move that I wanted. And it happened too quick. There's nothing I can do there. I put it out just about as quick as I possibly could. So next bar, 4 minutes, 10 seconds. That is part of the game. And that's okay. If it comes back to your original entry, why wouldn't you take it? Serious question. Because now time has passed and the push through is now showing some kind of level of failure, isn't it? Right, I'm taking the retest, which I'll take in the first 15 seconds. But after 3 minutes into the bar, if we come back to my original position, things are a little bit different. It's now gone from an A setup to more like a B minus. If that, it's changed. All right, we're coming into halfway through this 5-minute bar, and let's see what we get. We still, by the way, have a stop hunting mentality on the table from that opening bar's wick high. If we can, now this bar was big, so it doesn't need to be growing this one, but it can't be this. Needs to be reasonable. If we can put that on and get a little stop hunt mentality going, I'd be happy to do so. Minutes, 10 seconds out. Why did you use a stop limit buy rather than a limit? Because I use stop limits whenever I can on continuation setups because I want the market moving in my direction when I get a fill. With limit entries, if you think about it from a zoomed in perspective, it's not going in your direction when you get a fill. It's going against you when you get a fill. Now that's a little nuance that over a big sample size does improve at least my result. Now you guys have seen scenarios where I'll take a trade like that with a limit, but that's typically if the wick is bigger. So I don't want to miss out on, like, if there's like 7 points on the wick, placing a stop limit buy up there, I'm missing out. If I want to just get in, I'll just limit in and be done. But on a setup like that, super clean close, we've seen it happen a lot of times, especially as of late, where it just reverses. I want it breaking that previous bar's wick high, showing more confidence out of the bulls, and then I get a fill. The second that happens, I'm in. It's a very different kind of trade. It might not seem like it because you're getting a similar price. But to me, it's very different. And I like using stop limit entries whenever I can. They treat me very well. All right. Okay, 28 seconds out. Copy trader, ready to rock. And let's see here if we can get a reasonable close out of the bulls here on this bar to try to stop hunt that opening bar's wick high. Big old bull body on that last bar, so I do not need this one to be growing, but it needs to be a reasonable close. That is looking better and better as we come into the close. Good. Kind of wicky, so I'm going to put that down. I'm not going to give it the full 30. I'm going to give that 20 seconds. And I want to see quick resolution. I want to see a fill in the first 20 seconds. We have 10 more seconds here to get a fill. Let's see if we can get that. 2 seconds. No fill. No fill, no trade. Gotta pull it. All right, 4.5 minutes out. Let's see what we get here. All right, 3 minutes, 10 seconds out. You know, we still have that opening bar wick high, which is also the high of day, which is also the stop hunt target. But we're starting to press in and get closer and closer and closer. You guys know, if I'm going stop hunting, I prefer to have, you know, 5, 10, more like 10, 20, maybe 25, if not 30 points ahead of that level. This is getting kind of tight with not really a lot of room to fit a reasonable bull body. Now, if it looked very specific, meaning like a close like here, I'd probably put it on. Why? Only because the signal bar that I would risk is like 12 points. And if we get a pop through, I'd cover my risk regardless. But if it was like this kind of bar coming in, closing, you know, within 5 points of the stop hunting region, the reward to risk just ain't there, right? Like, you're looking for realistically a 5 to 15 point push through the stops, maybe, if we're lucky. For what? Like 30 point risk if it was a bar like this? Starts to make less and less sense, right? But we still have an option on this bar if it closes up in a very particular manner to see if we can on some stops from the high of day. Those are short stops, by the way, which are basically market buy orders, which is gold if you can hunt those babies. All right. New 5-minute bar. Are we looking at a potential reversal before we even try to take out those stops? Let's see. Way too early for me to put that on. But if we got another bear body closing up nice and clean, all of a sudden we got a stop limit sell sitting out. All right, guys, hey, quick break. Back in a couple of minutes. Like the stream, and we can give away some free stuff here in a little bit. Back soon. All right, welcome back. Back at it, baby. 4.5 minutes out. Let's see. And the bears give us something half reasonable here. This last bar, very, very close to matching the previous bar's wick low. So let's see if the bears can continue that confidence, keep it up, come in for a test to the 20. We'll keep an eye on that 20 here on the 5 minute and keep it moving here. With the trade going above your original entry point. Let me think about what you're saying. Here, I believe, correct? Have you ever considered putting the order in anyways and picking the trade up on a pullback since you were probably looking for 40-ish points? No, because by the time this happens, we have so much more information, and this didn't do what I wanted it to anyway. So the quality has fallen at least a full grade, if not a grade and a half, 2 grades. Not into it at that point. Doesn't treat me as well at that point. All right, 3 minutes, 12 seconds out. Let's see what we get. All right. 2 minutes out. Looking half decent here thus far. Now, we might have an option. I'm thinking about that 20 here on the 5 because that 20 was so well respected back here. So is it reasonable to think, hey, we're probably just going to power right through and curl? I don't know if it's reasonable to think that instantly, but we'll keep an eye on it. Right. Okay. "17 seconds out. Gonna go ahead and get the copy trader engaged. And we are coming right into the 20 EMA, though this bear body is not tremendous in size. Which means if we get a last second adjustment here, I will still put it on. That wick is sizable. No trade. Nothing there next bar. 455 out. Little hesitation there out of the bears with that wick being half the size of the bar. $440 out. Let's see. Come on, bears. Take it down through. Give us something to pop on here. Trending. Despite government shutdown and Trump forcing U.S. companies to start manufacturing in the U.S., increase in cost companies, why are we at all-time highs? Because news is not black and white the way that everybody who comes into the market likes to think. News can be a backer. If the market's having a hard trend day, Nasdaq's up 6.5% and trending 85% bull bars. Big bull bars, 15% small bear bodies or dojis. The news can be a backer to give you the mental confidence to ride that trend. But don't trade off of news. Trade off what the market is doing. And then if it's doing something out of the ordinary, you say, okay, is there some kind of headline that is being priced in? I don't want to come off as, I don't know what the word would be. But this is the reality, and this is going to shock a lot of you. And a lot of you are going to say, I don't like that he said that. That's bullshit. You should always assume that news is totally fucking irrelevant. If the market doesn't care and it's ranging, but you're like, but this headline says this, so I'm going to stay long. You're the goofball. The market is always right. Okay? So ignore it unless it's actually a thing. Minute 40 out. All right, bulls, give us a nice clean close up here. And I'll put out a stop limit buy, risk this curl, and see if we can get a push back higher. Beauty of a setup for me if we can get it. Very, very nice setup. Repeatable. Easy decision making. Throw it on, accept the outcome. Like a grown man. Or woman. $20 seconds out. Copy trader. Engaged. Let's see. Can we get a nice decent close here out of the bulls? Stop limit buy. Out. Ready to rock. And let's get ready to place this son of a gun. Give us a decent close, bulls, so we can break the ice on the day. That's an outside close. You see that? Closing above the previous bar's wick high. I'll give that 30 seconds. The wick is not the best. You know, it's there. There's a wick. But it's like we're talking 5 points, 4 points. So 15 more seconds. See if we can get a pop through and a fill. If we do not, then the resolution is not fast enough and I no longer want to participate. So we'll get ready to pull this in 5 seconds if we do not get a fill. No fill, pull it, no trade, next bar. All right, 4 minutes out. By the way, guys, heads up, Apex is 80% off right now, and activation fees are not $140 for lifetime, which I happily pay all the time. But right now it's $85. 85 for lifetime activation, which is stupid. On top of 80% off. It's code BIG, baby, B-I-G. Go hit that up. I have already been hitting that up. Alert! What's up, brother? How we doing? Lifetime activation means that you pay. Usually it's 140 bucks to activate for lifetime instead of monthly. If you activate for monthly, it charges you every month on a Apex PA, which is a funded account at Apex. Or you can go lifetime, which I always do lifetime. And instead of 140 bucks right now to activate that, and then you never get charged again, other than 1 penny every 10 years. I assume to keep your payment method active or something. You don't get charged, and it's 85 bucks to activate it until you blow the account, which is, I mean, like, I don't know how else to say. Like, the numbers look so stupid. It just, everybody wins. There's zero downside. Minute 55. All right, minute 35 out. Let's see what the bulls can do. We might have something here. All right, I think we have something here. What do you guys say? $27 seconds. Copy trader. Engaged. Let's see. Can we get a nice clean bull close near the high of this bar without a big old pullback? Just got to see it above this previous bar's wick high. The higher the better within reason. Get a stop limit buy ready, see if we can place it. Beautiful. And we will get a fill. Suck this up. Risk the curl. Move that out a little bit. And we have finally broken the ice on the day. Gotta love it. Now, let's see if we can get a push up through high of day, which is the opening 5-minute bar, which is right here where my cursor is. If I go back a little bit, that's that opening bar right there. And let's see if we can get a little bit of stop hunting action going on up there. So what I will actually do is take this guy, place it right about there. And now, our entire trade, for the most part, is pretty damn hands-off. I like easy decision-making. My favorite kind of trade. Let's see if it works for us. 4 minutes out here on this 5-minute bar. All right, bulls, let's do it to them. ATR 15.7, so this trade likely to take its time, at least a bit. You know, the quicker the better, but can't expect, 1 minute resolution every time. Bull's taking a bit of a breather. It's all right. Get all gassed up, take this baby up through the high of day. And if you're a short with your stop right above high of day, I apologize in advance. But you are the prey as we speak. Bulls, lots of work to do, baby. Do 5-minute bar here. ATR 14.3. All right, Birds, you can have that one. We'll let that slide. Okay, now, of course, there's always two sides, at least, to every trade. Right now, of course, the risk here is this. That this guy turns into kind of a wedge and then breaks the flat bottom. If that happens, I'll eat my loss and move. I don't care. But I like the trade regardless. All right, minute 18 out here from the close of this 5-minute bar. Bulls, I would say it's about time to get to work. We have got high of day stops to bag and tag and take home. 55 seconds. All right, new 5-minute bar here. Yeah, not tremendous the first 10 minutes here of this trade. Let's see, can the Bulls step in and clean this baby up? Okay, now, if the Bears, of course, take out the wick low of that curl, then I want to be out and participate no longer and look for the next trade, but Bears are going to have to earn this one here. Big old wick, 3.5 minutes out. All right, minute 37 out. Both sides having a hell of a time on this bar. My job on this trade is to sit and let it do its thing. Manage if necessary, though I gotta tell you, early management would likely require a move higher and then 2 consecutive bear bodies lower. Because as it sits right now, there's not a damn thing for me to do. Even if I wanted to, there's nothing for me to do that don't break a rule, which I am not into. So we wait and see if the bulls can get our idea done. 45 seconds out. New 5-minute bar, tiny little bull body. Could essentially call that almost a doji. All right, bears are trying. And there's not a damn thing for me to do until this thing hits one of my server side orders. The idea was there. Those of you guys just joining or skipping ahead here. Bought this close into this rollover. Beautiful consecutive bull body sequence driving up out of that hole. And we're looking to stop hunt high of day, which is currently sitting right where my cursor is on that opening bar wick high. And if they take out the bears meaning this wick low of the curl on our entry, stop me, move on, look for the next setup. Until that happens, I'm sitting long. All right, bulls. Drive this up through. Put to bed any argument the bears have of our public enemy number one right now, which is that guy. Let's put that to rest. Get that curl on the table and drive us up through. Finish out this idea here. Minute 8 out. Big old doji close. All right. Bulls, I think now is about the time to step in while those bears are as insecure about taking this thing lower as possible. They're still manhandling you. All right. In the comments, what do we think? What do we think? Straight up, am I cooked? Or am I sitting cool? Don't hold back, baby. All right, ATR here on the 5-minute chart is 13.6. Lower, lower, lower. Eventually that ATR is going to bottom out. We're going to pop back up. Not necessarily in price, but in volatility. But damn it, price too. Come on, bulls. 2 minutes out. Okay, so, again here. Right now, public enemy number one is that. There's not a damn thing for me to do other than sit and let my server-side orders do their job. There's been no reason, of course, for me to manage early in either direction thus far. So we sit and we wait and we accept the outcome. Well, Bulls, we've got some work to do, man. Time to step in and do it to them. If we're gonna do it to them, I think the time is right about now. Again, we got our server-side take profit order, a few points above high of day, which happens to be the wick high of the opening candle. You're on the 5-minute chart. Now, I know the majority of you said I'm cooked. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. If we are, I'm cool with it. Part of the game. But it ain't over till it's over. All right, Bulls, let's put that little descending resistance trend line that a whole bunch of bears are looking at and saying, yeah, that's going to fix my trade. Put that baby to bed. Take this thing higher, punch it through the high of day, hit my server side take profit limit order, and we're off into the sunset. "35 seconds out. Well, back to pretty much break even here on the trade. Bulls, if we want any prayer of carrying out our hunting trip of those high of day stops, we're going to need to break this little descending resistance flat top region that the bears are getting so much confidence from. We got to squash their confidence, send them right back to the den. I'm telling you, if you're short with a stop right above high a day, I apologize in advance. If you can't find the prey, it just might be you. Oh, bulls, you sons of guns. Let's get this thing done. All right, 4 minutes out here from the close of this 5-minute bar. Okay, now obviously, public enemy number one has turned from this into a falling ATR, which is 12.8, and this obvious wedge that, you know, every loser with a charting software has drawn. So you got to pay attention to it. But my orders are server side. And the way that this has set up, there's very little for me to do as far as management. That wouldn't be a rule break, which, as you know, I'm very much not into. So we let it sit. Minute 30 out. All right, new 5-minute bar here. Bulls, step in, do your job. Let's take out that little high a day cluster of stops. Those bears are sweating. So am I. I'm just so nervous, you know? 4.5 minutes out. All right, bears are giving it a go. We're gonna have to earn my stop. It lives where it lives, below the curl, just behind our original entry bar. And if they take it, man, they earned it. So let's see, minute 50 out. ATR here, 12.4. Pretty low. Pretty low. All right, bears, see if they can do it. You know what would really help us right now is a little volatility bump. Little volatility bump is just what we need. Alright, new 5-minute bar. Not a bad close out of the bears. We'll give them that. Alright, let's see if the bears here could take out the wick low here of this curl. Now again, if you're just skipping ahead to this point, you're just joining us. This trade's been on for a minute. Volatility has tanked off. ATR is below 12. The original entry was 2 consecutive bull bodies, bought the rollover into this open. And we've been sitting inside this range ever since. So if the bears can break this out, I would kind of be happy about it so that we can actually get a little volatility bump and move on here. You know, obviously you don't want to lose a trade, but I mean, who gives a shit? It's part of the game. And what we really need to make money is volatility. So ATR beneath 12 on a 5-minute chart, that's not great. Below 10 on a 5-minute chart is brutal. So what we really need is that to bump back up to maybe 20. That would be tremendous. But damn it, it ain't over till it's over. Bulls, step in, do your job. All right, 60 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. These bulls don't want to quite quit. You love to see it, but you'd love to see a bit more confidence. More. All right, newish 5-minute bar here, 440 out. All right, Bears, take out that wick low. Drop 95 points. We need volatility, man. 12 points on the ATR. You know, as long as we're above 10 on the ATR on the 5-minute, we can work with it. But above 20 is much better. Well, all right, bulls. I guess it ain't over till it's over, huh? 3.5 minutes out. Bears are struggling so far to take out this wick low that we're basing our stop on. Again, if you're just joining us here, welcome. Original entry on this trade was the close of this body into this open. This trade far beyond my average trade duration because volatility since the entry has fallen by quite a bit, which is okay. It's fine. It's within the rule book. It's just a little annoying when that happens. 3 minutes out. All right, let's see if these bulls can put together a bit more confidence than the last 2 or 3 attempts here. Of course, there's that little flat top giving the bears some confidence here. They're looking at that saying, yeah, I'll short ahead of that little flat. But we also know how I feel about flats. Flats are weak. And both sides right now are flats. Alright, bulls. Time to step in. Time to step in. Take out those high-a-day stops. Lots of work to do out of the bulls. All right, decent little close there out of the bulls. Still within that little range, though. That newly developing range, which is fine. Though I'd really like to see some bull confidence take us up through that little flat. That is now public enemy number one. Well, back through break even. Alright, bulls. Time to get the job done here. All right, 2 minutes 45 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. And now remember here, where my cursor is the current high of day. It's the wick high of that opening 5-minute bar. So let's see if we can get a little push through there. Gobble up some of those bear stops. That is the prey. All right, got to flatten the cop here. That left out a couple of ghost orders and we are flat. Well, let me hang on 1 second here. That should have been well over 3,000 bucks. And I'm not gonna bullshit you. We made about 2,700 because those fills on the follower accounts were not great. We got that pop through way more aggressive than the typical stop hunt. 15 points, 14 points, pulled back. And then when the followers got filled at market, it was not as good as it could have been if it was a more controlled push. But winner nonetheless, well within reason. 2,700. All right. Let's move on. All right, 45 seconds out here from the close of this 5-minute bar. Doug, look back and shame everyone who said you're cooked. No, the market is always two-sided. Listen, people can say I'm cooked when I'm in the green. People can say I'm good if I'm in the red. I don't care. It goes both ways. People should have different opinions. Just because, you know, I'm trading live or like, it doesn't matter. If I take a trade to the long side and you think it should be short, go short. Do what you want, right? The market's two-sided. No one's ever exactly right. No one's ever exactly wrong. That's a very silly and I think immature and inexperienced way to look at the market. We live in a fog. Every trader who does big numbers, especially really big numbers, like crazy numbers, they're a lot more humble than the new guys. The new guys come in, they're like, I'm right, you're wrong. It's like, okay, first year, huh? Or haven't found much success yet, huh? And that's okay, because we were all like that, you know, in the first month or first 6 months or first year. All right, now the statistical probability, by the way, in the low end of that trade was very much not in my favor. But I know, I've seen this set up 1,000 times. When I put that on, there's a little edge there. A little bit. Doesn't mean you're going to win every time. Doesn't mean you're even going to win, you know, 80% of the time. But I'll win enough on this trade given the reward to risk, which does not have to be 1-to-1, by the way. A lot of people say, oh, what's your reward to risk? Trading just a regular, I always trade 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 1-to-2, 3-to-1, 1-to-3 is ridiculous. You have to adjust based on the setup you're in. That one happened to be a little better than 1-to-1. I know that if I take that trade 1,000 times, it treats me well in the long run. You're going to have winning streaks, you're going to have losing streaks. It just doesn't matter. Ignore the noise. 3 minutes out. Let's see what we get here as far as a close. Big old bull body on that last bar, huh? Mark, passed your first take profit challenge. Very good job. Good work, Mark. It's a big step to being a take profit pro. Rose, good to have you. Biblical, how we doing? Activated my take profit trader, 25K today, already up 1,800 bucks. God, love to hear it. Yeah, Take Profit Trader is a great firm, man. You get ahead of that buffer, daily payouts. Daily payouts. You need money. Life's expensive. It's got to be in the bank within a reasonable amount of time, at least in the early days. If you're trying to bootstrap going full time, you know, it's tough to have to wait for payouts. So I think take profit's a good option if that's you. Code big, baby. 40% off, no activation fee. It is a really good deal that they're running. They've been running that one since like 4th of July. They might go back. I'm not sure. I don't even think they know yet. But that, people have been taking advantage of that, killing it thus far, it seems like. All right, we got 4 minutes, 15 seconds out. Hey, where are we sitting on likes, by the way? Can I give away free shit? I really want to, but it's not up to me. Oh, you guys. You guys. I want to give away an Apex account. I want to give away a Take Profit Trader account. Hey, like on the stream, man. That's all it takes. Let's do it. We've got a goal. All right. How we doing? Chat, check in. How you guys trading so far today? A lot of you guys earlier when the market was doing this, I was surprised. Maybe 75% of you, at least that answered, were green. Maybe the rest of you were hiding. Jazz, that's all right. Alpha, we trade RAM around here, brother. Best way to learn is to watch. It's not a strategy you can explain in 2 sentences other than saying price action and doing things that are logical and make sense in your head. I think most people here would agree that RAM is about the most simple, logical, but also requires a little bit of discretionary decision making. Methods or strategies, I call it more of a method, the wrench action method, out there. It's logical. It makes sense. It starts clicking. You're like, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. As opposed to a lot of these things that feel hand-wavy voodoo magic. It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense to me too. That's why I traded, big dog. 40 seconds out. All right, guys, I'll tell you what. We have plenty of people watching. I want to do a giveaway. Well, I want to do a couple giveaways if we can get there, but I'll tell you guys what. I will give you until 12:45 Central, which is less than 10 minutes out. That's about 9 minutes 40 seconds out. If we can hit goal number 1, we'll do our giveaway here. Winner gets the option, double or nothing. Let's do it. I know we can do it. If you look up from TikTok for 2 seconds and hit like, we can have some fun. All right, 4 minutes, 10 seconds out. All right, back in legitimately 2 minutes. Quick break. I'll be right back. All right, welcome back. 5 minutes. 500 likes before 12:45 Central Time triggers the giveaway, or one of the two that we could do today. All right, 4 minutes, 18 seconds left here on this 5-minute bar. Let's see how we close up. Gavin, how you doing? Good to have you. I will tell you how to enter if we hit that goal in the next 4 minutes. Clock's ticking. It's super easy to enter. Costs nothing, obviously. And it is completely random, which is the way it ought to be. Three minutes here. Are we heading right back into a range? Something to think about here, man. $60. Let's see. See if we get an inside close here out of the bears. I think, we might just enter another trading range here. We've taken out the high of day, of course. That was our profit take on that trade. Oh, there you go. There's a bear push, huh? New 5-minute bar here. right, guys. Not enough want for the giveaway. We will try again tomorrow. Opportunities for free accounts every single day here. And I'll tell you what, I gotta go hit lunch. It's about that time. One trade today, very light on trade volume today. That was all that presented itself, one winner. So, okay day. We're doing fine. All right, guys. Hey, if you're trying to bootstrap going full time, take profit's your best bet. Daily payouts. You need money in the account as soon as possible, as often as possible. Go ahead, take profit if that's your goal. When it's time to make the numbers look bigger, Apex is tremendous. I love Apex. Apex always pays. I don't have issues. As long as you're within the guidelines, man, there's nothing to bitch about at Apex. Big fan. Code BIG is going to give you the best deal at both of those for every account you sign up for. All right, guys. Tell you what, we'll be back at it here tomorrow. I hope you guys did well today. I mean, honestly, kind of a weird day. ATR is a little low, 14. But it sounds like you guys are actually doing pretty well for the most part. Obviously, we have the most skilled chat on YouTube. I'm dead serious. I'm not even joking. I think if you bounce around, you will find that the people here seem to have the highest average skill level and the highest average performance. No bullshit. I think that is the truth. And I think that makes sense because we're doing things that make logical sense. All right, guys, off to lunch. Have a good afternoon. I will see you back here tomorrow morning. Subscribe to the channel if you are not yet. See you then. Have a good day.